do you really feel, objectively speaking, if you just forget about everything, do you think that movie as a film itself deserves an award over 1917? Whenever Steven Spielberg making it, they give it an award. When the Christopher Nolan made Dunkirk, nobody cares about it, right?
Out of all the nominated movies, I feel that Parasite is the deserving winner.
I am just saying that I do not think that this is a great film. I think it's a good film. I don't think it's a great. Just the way I said Joker was not a great film. People want to shit all over capitalism, and I think to that, it just totally caters to that. It's not a new story. This is a story which has been rehashed tons of times. They just kind of came up with slightly, sort of like a funny, little bit satirical, not satire so much, but just bit of a dark humor. The Academy is like, it's like their past sins. They try to like finally come clean. It's like, okay, we made so many mistakes. Let's not do this anymore.
Because anything which at the end doesn't give you any hope, I feel it's a dark movie.
If I was the director and when I take the award, I would be thanking, not the people, but I would be thanking Harvey Weinstein. Okay.
But he has lost the Oscars. I mean, he has been nominated for 15 times. He has been getting nominated from 1997, and he has lost all those 15 times.
People feel bad right now if every award is given to a white person. They don't like that. White people feel guilt. It's called white guilt, right? White guilt comes into play. So people have sex change, maybe he has race change. This guy becomes James Cameron, becomes like a South Korean, or maybe, I don't know, Japanese, maybe, I don't know, Indian, maybe. So he becomes James or something, James 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 Cameroon. James Cameroon. So he becomes like half African and half like Mexican. Alright, we're going to talk about Parasite, which recently just won the award, and I think that's what everybody's talking about. And most people are very happy. I think you're one of them. With its winning the award. I am probably one of the naysayers or the devil's advocate. I have not seen 1917, so I don't know. Like when you ask me that question, that you think it's better than other movies, I'm like, well, there are movies like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. That movie should never be in there in the first place. So
what about Irishman?
I never finished, but again, that's subjective. But I think what happens with the Irishman, those kind of movies have been made over and over again, and they generally never ever win anyway. Apart from Martin Scorsese winning it for The Departed, which is, I mean, it's not Irishman, but it's the same genre, kind of say. So I don't think they're going to give it again to this person. He was never going to... He was in contention, but, people always thought that they will give it to 1917 because it's a war movie. It's not the first war movie, but its a treatment is different, and the way they have done it's like a step moving forward from Christopher Nolan's Dunkirk. So and it was out and out favorite, but towards the end, over the last few days, it's been like the tide's been just turning a bit. People have been like clamoring for, let's give it to the South Korean film Parasite. It's so amazing. It's so brilliant. I happened to eventually watch it. I watched it at home, but I watched it very nicely. I was like, set up the entire environment, and I thought it was a fairly fine film. I don't think I had any concerns with the film. My concerns are only with the fact that does it deserve the Academy Award? It's not the same syndrome as the Slumdog Millionaire, but I just felt like I want to know what exactly deserves an Oscar. Like, first of all, I want to start with, like, you've seen 1917. Do you really feel, objectively speaking, if you just forget about everything, do you think that movie as a film itself deserves an award over 1917? Because at least that we can speak, because that's the only contender, because those were the only two contenders fighting with each other, right?
Yeah, I would say so, because uh, again, it's a war movie. At the end of the day, obviously, it is the treatment is different, and the way they have shot is completely different than other war movies. And it still talks about. I mean, if we talk about themes, uh, Parasite is something that most of the people can relate to, because I mean, war happened, and people died, and that was a big event. But now no one is there who was part of that war, right? I mean, it's something which people don't really relate to. I mean, they can so they can talk about it, they can hear stories about it, but at the end of the day, it is not something which most of the people will relate to. And again, 1917 is I think in the last podcast I said that 1917 is one of the best war movies that I have seen, and and I think I even said that even if the director gets the best director award for the movie, I'll have no problems with that. But again, coming back to Parasite, in my opinion, out of all the movies which were nominated, obviously I can't watch all the movies which released in this year and who were, up for nomination. But out of all the nominated movies, I feel that Parasite is the deserving winner, because I think, as you said, there was really a competition between 1917 and Parasite. There was no other movie which was under was under consideration for Oscars, for the best movie. We are talking about the for the best movie award. So yeah, I mean, that way I would certainly say that Parasite deserved.
Okay, I'm just thinking like, okay, now point is like it doesn't really matter whether a movie's theme, like you're saying, like whether people care about it or not. That's not how Academy Award or movie is judged. It's about it's a wonderful film because all films are already always won, right? These are the films which always end up winning. Movies like Joker, that's why the guy wins a Oscar for being Joker. But who the hell is actually Joker in your life? Have you met somebody like who's gonna cold-bloodedly murder people? So that's, I think, my point is, I think the theme right now, people have always been had the theme of like war theme, which wins Oscars a lot of time. Saving
Hmm.
Private Ryan, that's a big example that with whenever Steven Spielberg making it, they give it an award. When the Christopher Nolan made Dunkirk, nobody cares about it, right? Suddenly, and again, I'm going to get back to Sam Mendes situation, which was, but I want to talk about it's a theme. Eventually, right now, the most pertinent theme is people want to shit all over capitalism, and I think to that, it just totally caters to that. This movie,
Yeah,
it
it
just
does.
that appetite is there, and it just kind of gives like a big fat pizza to that appetite, and people are like, yes, this is what we're talking about, the whole divide between, people get super rich or people get super poor. And as they were talking about, it's a zero sum game because there are only few jobs. So if somebody else gets a job, as the Parasite family gets a job, there are other people who actually lose the jobs and also lose livelihood altogether,
Hmm.
which happens in this movie.
Yeah, yeah. So, just a warning before we really get into more in-depth discussion, that there will be a lot of spoilers about the movie. So, anyone watching this video, if you have not watched either Parasite or 1917, there would be spoilers going forward.
Absolutely. I don't know why people are watching this. They watch nothing. I mean, I can't really blame everybody. I've not watched 1917. But I think Parasite people should have watched. It's easy to watch. Easy to
Yeah,
watch.
yeah,
It's out there. Come on.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
Mike, I'm just thinking that I just feel like the same reason. Okay, I'm gonna make some accusations. I think you can defend it if you feel like. But I say it's the same reason why Slumdog Millionaire won in 2009, because they wanted a new market. I'm not comparing Slumdog, just to be very clear, with Parasite, because I feel
Please.
Slumdog's Millionaire is an absolutely inferior film.
Yeah,
This is a much superior film.
yeah, yeah.
I am just saying that I do not think that this is a great film.
Hmm.
I think it's a good film. I don't think it's a great. Just the way I said Joker was not a great film,
Hmm.
and thank God Joker did not win because it was very derivative. I don't think this movie is so derivative, but it takes a lot of cinematic liberties,
Hmm.
right? It takes tons and tons of cinematic liberties that, I mean, the family is extremely naive, extremely nice and all these things. So I felt like, as people were saying, that the subtleties, the nuances, the like, so everything's so unexpected. It's like, wow, I wasn't expecting that, but I think I was kind of expecting that. I was expecting this, all everything that they pull off will happen. She leaves her underpants in the car, and only to be discovered, this person just drops his, like, the guy who drives the car entire day, the driver, he never finds any underpants. Okay, and she does it right in front of him when he's trying to hit on her. I'm just giving one example. He's totally hitting on her. He keeps looking at her from the river, from the mirror, and but he doesn't notice she takes her underpants and shoves it right under the car seat. And then apparently the boss happens to drop papers and suddenly finds those underpants and starts thinking that, okay, this guy is banging somebody. That makes sense. I understand. If you find it, then you feel like, okay, something is happening. That totally makes sense. I'm just saying, everything was just like, there are a lot of cinematic liberties. So for me, somebody said this is a movie which is like brilliant screenplay, and all the characters are well done. But I felt that, I don't want to use the same word again and again, but the cinematic liberties that people feel like, yeah, I mean, like, kind of like.
What you're saying is that there were a lot of plot holes which you thought.
I mean, I don't want to call it directly holes, but I think you get the point. I think generally I'm saying this, if the screenplay was not as tight, they could have actually worked harder, so it would have surprised me that, okay, why would they believe this person? And also the fact that suddenly these people come in and they don't know jack shit. And you remember when his friend gives him this job, like offers him his job, he said, I'll recommend you. This guy says, I'm a loser. Once he goes to that house, suddenly they have all these nice clothes. I can understand people can have one pair of good clothes. I get that. I'm not complaining about it. I'm saying, but how does that entire demeanor change?
Because
suddenly
I think
they become super confident.
Yeah, because I think he had already studied English. He was actually a good student. That's what his friend was saying. So
fair enough.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about English. I'm talking about that suddenly he holds her hand and tells her how it's the holder nerve. I'm just saying they just become brilliant. But there are a lot of cinematic liberties have been taken there.
Yeah, I
and
mean,
his sister, she becomes like a genius.
Yeah, I think she was. They alluded that she was quite good with computers, and she was very intelligent. So I think they showed the scene where the whole family was practicing what they need to say and what they need to convey. And I think again, think about India as well. Like poverty is a universal theme, right? It's not just it's not just Korea, or it is not just India. It is there in US as well. I mean, it's everywhere. Inequality is increasing.
In South Korea, is not even poor. It's first world country, for heaven's sake.
But there is
talking about some people will be poor.
Yeah, but there is inequality between.
Of course, there is in US massive inequality. Yeah. That's one of the reasons why the movie has won.
Yeah, that's the reason. So so if you see that, even if you relate to poor people in India, they have to think on their feet, right? You will find a lot of people who are good at this, like making, taking people for a ride. And if you, I think we have talked about this, like people who are super rich, they live in this cocoon where they don't know what is going outside and how people are. I mean, that's why they were so naive. I mean, when we were talking about how the Kim family, sorry, not Kim family, Park family, who is the rich family, how they were so naive, because it's very evident, right? When you're living in a cocoon, like or you are not, you don't really know about the realities, how these poor people are. I mean, that's what the movie was actually saying, that a rich family who is living their life in a perfect condition, the effort which goes behind the scenes to make their life perfect, the rich are not aware of that, like how these poor people are working behind the scenes, how they are struggling day to day life. So if you tell them anything, they will just believe it, because they don't have any real life experience. So I think that is one of the things why.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I just think that how is that a novel idea? How is this a new story? I'm saying that
it's not a new story.
The point is they will. Yeah. But let me finish. I'm saying it's not a new story. This is a story which has been rehashed tons of time. They just kind of came up with slightly, sort of like a funny, little bit satirical, not satire so much, but just bit of a dark humor. And with that, it became bit more funny. The way they presented it was nicer. But I feel one of the reasons why movies like this are winning Oscars are, right, particularly this situation, that because people this is catering to the lowest common denominator. Of movie like 1917 will be like, at least you need some sort of intelligence to actually understand and actually really get into it. This one, anybody can watch this movie. Okay, even the language is not a barrier, because a person I can in India also, people watch, people like, oh, I got it, because I've seen people, you will agree with this thing, people have seen Dunkirk, people like, I didn't understand it, what happened, there was no drama. People have seen Lincoln, people like, I was so bored, I almost died in the theater. I have a feeling, you can correct me, but I think people just love right now who's outsider, somebody who's the underdog, somebody who's non-white, somebody who's minority.
See that
That is a major trump card. As the timing of the scene in 2020, people want to, in academy, people want to prove a point that we have evolved and we have moved forward as a society.
I think,
and right now they had a choice. Because when Federer is playing Djokovic, everybody wants to win Federer to win. But Federer will not win just because it's a decision of people who are sitting in the audience. But Academy Awards is like that. It's subjective. And subjectivity comes into play. They want to look good. They want to say, well, see, they had a choice. Either they pick this or they pick that. It's at the end of the day, it just boils down to people. And people are subjective, people are emotional, people are sentimental. Okay. At this stage in 2020, it just makes more sense to, if you have a choice, why not choose Parasite? And why choose Sam Mendes, has already won Oscar in year 2000 for his 99 film American Beauty, and now they're like, plus he's white, plus he's English American, and then like, the whole people like, let's give it to South Korean guy, let's give it. I'm again not saying it's a bad film, I'm not saying it's at all bad. I'm just saying all those factors played a major role towards the end for it to get the award.
I would agree with you on this, that if you just watch the show as well, you can see they were trying really hard to showcase that they are very inclusive. All the winners who came on stage, most of them made some political remark, or most of them made something politically correct remarks. So yeah, I mean, it was pretty evident. It is pretty evident from, I think, from last 2-3 years that they are trying to be more inclusive. They are trying to open up to other other countries, and South Korea. I think they have been making very good movies from
Correct.
from a long time. So it's not like Slumdog Millionaire situation where it's like suddenly some Indian movie. I mean, I know Slumdog Millionaire is not an Indian movie, but it is. If you see the movie, it's like any other Indian movie with a bit nicer cinematography and everything. So so I mean, I would agree with you on that point, that this was a perfect storm for Parasite to win.
It's the perfect moment, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And
then they tap into a huge market, right? You understand how the capitalism. The ironical thing I found, they are shitting all over capitalism and saying like, see, we are so progressive, we are so inclusive, so we're gonna give it to Parasite. But the fact that the moment Parasite wins, it opens up more markets for them, for Hollywood, which actually increases stranglehold of capitalism itself.
Yeah, I would say,
and which makes, by the way, though, everybody rich. Everybody in the movie, what's the guy's name? Boon Joon-ho? What's the director's name?
Bong Joon-ho. Bong Joon-ho.
Makes a lot of money. Everybody. So when these people become rich, I want to see what these people do for the other people.
Yeah, I mean, I would say what you're saying. I would say the situation would be opposite. That there will be more market for South Korean directors, actors, technicians in Hollywood.
Correct.
So I think that will, in this case, it will be a different effect rather than people, because Hollywood is anyway popular everywhere. I don't think in this day and age Hollywood needs to
I would not say they would be watching a lot of movies in South Korea, because obviously the market is not so big. They hardly speak the language. But when you say South Korea, you have to understand Japan as well, right? You got to understand China, because these are major countries, and Japan still very isolated, still very homogeneous society, hardly ever speaks English. But you cannot deny, when somebody wins an Oscar, suddenly Oscar becomes a big thing. People start making more movies.
That's true.
They start accepting a lot more movies. After Slumdog Millionaire happened, do you think Indian people, last 10 years, we've spoken more English? Then no, I think we just have more money, and everybody knows there will be more money in the market. And Japan and South Korea, they're first world countries at the end of the day. Okay, so I'm thinking, what, next year, 10 years later, maybe North Korean movie wins the Oscar? Maybe like just so they want to open these people up, right? It's like, who would have expected that? I mean, how they make, eventually, remember in the movie they're making fun, the ladies making fun of the anchor, right? How the anchor speaks in the North Korea. So I mean, I was thinking that, I didn't want to make a comparison with Slumdog. I wanted to make a comparison which I made notes about, that with Arundhati Roy's situation happened in 1997. Before she even like sold one copy, they paid her officially 500,000 pounds. But I think the news is that she apparently got straight away paid 1 million pounds. 1 million pound. I mean, I'm a writer. We've been doing this, right? We can't even get anybody to spend like $50. It's difficult to make people pay $50 for a book on Kindle.
Yeah.
Hardly anybody buys. Some genius bought it in US for like $4 before. But I'm saying it's difficult, right? When they paid her 1 million pounds, which is at that time it's 1 million is about 10 crores, right? 1 million pounds. So that's a lot of
10
money,
lakhs.
right? You never 1 million pounds.
Oh.
And 1
1 million
pounds
is
you got
10
paid.
lakh, and then pound will obviously become.
Yeah, it's 100, right? So it's 10 crores. So she got 10 crores for that. How were they going to actually make 10 crores from that book? But because they paid her, it was pre-decided that Penguin was coming in. By the way, this is not propaganda. Penguin was coming in hardcore in India, and they wanted to set up. And she was the deal was she was a very good writer. And they knew that she will write very well. But you have read the book, I don't know if you've read it, but the point is it's very difficult to read for an Indian person, particularly in 1997.
Yeah.
Even I find it difficult. The language is very difficult. The story is very dark. Nobody wants to read it. We are Chetan Bhagat people, right? We are still Chetan Bhagat people, okay? It's been 16 years since his first book came out. We are still Chetan Bhagat people. They were never going to sell the books in India. Anybody who bought it hardly ever read it, but they bought it because we're like, wow, Indian person winning a Booker's Prize.
Booker.
Before that, it was only like V.S. Naipaul, but he's Indian, but he's a West Indian.
Yeah.
Or Salman Rushdie in 1981 when I was born. So. But those people are like not really Indian. He's like British. So this is the first time when an Indian person, they're coming in, when they're setting up. It's the same which we talked about last time, the L'Oreal and everybody coming in. So they give it to the beauty pageants. I think it was a situation of a good movie winning it. And I feel like it independently deserves it. I just feel that movie got it because of a lot of other factors coming into play together, with also being a good film, relatable, capitalism, funny, dark. One thing I want to talk about a little bit, that if this movie is dark, I do not think this is dark, by the way. I think it's very very on a scale of 3 on 10 dark. I thought, what movie was dark? It was in 2007 when Dark Knight came out. Its movie's name is Dark. That movie was dark. The themes were dark. And they wouldn't even give it a nomination. That movie made $1 billion, wouldn't even give a nomination. The Academy is like, it's like their past sins. They try to like finally come clean. It's like, okay, we made so many mistakes. Let's not do this anymore. We're gonna do comedies after comedies. Movies like, oh, okay, we'll put Quentin Tarantino in. We'll put this guy in. It's like, I don't know. People are just like thinking what looks right. Let's put that in.
Yeah, I would not agree with you that it's not dark, because anything which at the end doesn't give you any hope, I feel it's a dark movie, because in the end they show that this guy gets a lot of money and buys the house, and then they eventually show that he's just dreaming about it, or he's just writing about it. And if you see the director's interview, he even forget the director's interview. I think the song which ends the movie, it's obviously in Korean, so I can't. We can't know what is the meaning of the song. But in the song, they allude that it will take around 4,000 years for this guy to save up enough money to buy that house. So the ending was a kind of a masterstroke, because generally in movies at the end something good happens, or everything gets okay. But in this movie they show that, but then at the end they again snatch it back. That hope which was there, they snatch it back. So I would say it's a pretty dark movie in that sense, in my opinion, again. So yeah.
Again, I just feel like isn't that a trope that people have used over and over again? That should not make a movie better or worse. When I said Dark Knight is dark, I mean, this is your choice. You have a choice. By the way, when that was happening, I was like, dude, are you fucking kidding me? Did he just buy the house? I was very upset. Then they said like he's not bought the house. I was like, okay, I'm fine with that. I was like, are you fucking stupid? Of course, but I don't understand the song, but thank you for telling me about that. 4,000. I think that sounds about right, because it was never gonna fucking happen, right? But I think there was still a bit of hope. But I think either they give hope or not hope. For me, that doesn't become dark because of that. They had dark themes when this guy comes and like at the end it just they go on rampage and start killing. I think that sounds very normal to me, and I think that is I'm saying it is dark. I'm not saying it's not, but I'm saying anybody can like have those elements because it's a choice as a director. Say, okay, instead of not stabbing, let's stab. So it just becomes dark. But that should not make it more Oscar worthy or more brilliant.
No, that should not be that should not be a criteria.
Because anybody can use that trope. You know how Amitabh Bachchan used to die after the end of every movie, and that used to be a great film, right? I don't think my favorite Hindi film, apart from Bol, which is the Pakistani director, which I feel it's the best film or Hindi film I've ever seen. But from an Indian perspective, Rang De Basanti, I know they die at the end, but it's not because they die it becomes a better film. They die because that was the right thing to do. And I feel same way in this Parasite. I've not thought about this, but it makes sense. In Parasite, showing what they did, which you like, which you feel is dark, which was the correct thing to do. If they showed the other way, would have betrayed the entire film
exactly.
in the first place.
Yeah.
So right, it would have. So I think that was correct. Thank you for telling me that 4,000 because that makes sense. You know, even if you have to buy that house, unless something magical happens, people go crazy about our podcast and my books and everything, and they suddenly become Joe Rogan. We are not going to be able to afford that freakish house, right? It's like in next 400 generations, because that's another level altogether. And they were isolated. I really liked the film. When I watched it, I feel like you told me. Another problem is when you watch a movie when everybody's told you this thing is going to win. Plus, I watched it after it already won. It's the worst time to watch a film because you always have this massive expectation. You know how I shit all over Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Now, whosoever watches it, they're like, they can't be disappointed because I've already trashed it so badly. They're like, no, I enjoyed it. The deal is I also enjoyed it, but I am a huge Quentin Tarantino fan. So I think this is definitely a good film. I just felt there are a lot of other factors. I do feel one of the factors that Sam Mendes not won an Oscar already in year 2000. And by the way, I just double checked. He just got knighted just very recently. Very, very recently. They don't like it. They don't like it. And they're like, this white guy already got his sir officially out in front of his name. I'm like,
I think it would have been a huge Twitter, social media storm if 1917 would have won, because people would have like, oh my god, Parasite is this great movie, and Oscars have totally whitewashed the awards again. So I think it would. I mean, now there are few people who are not really happy with Parasite winning due to some reason, but in general, people agree that Parasite should win the best movie. But if it would have been the other way around, I think this would have happened because of Sam Mendes being a white guy. And
white Englishman already won the Oscar, which the Academy must have now realized, which I've been saying for a long time. American Beauty did not deserve to win the Oscar, for heaven's sake, just because they have polythene flying around. That was so philosophical. We have polythene flying around everywhere in Bangalore, in Delhi, in freaking Bombay. It's like flies everywhere. And I was like, by the way, I watched that movie that time. I just had gone to college in year 2000. I was like, I thought it was good, but I was like, okay. I was like, oh, all right, fair enough. I mean, what is the Oscar? But that time I did not know what was the Oscar. Maybe I just missed something, but I was like, now I think of it, I was like, no, definitely not. The last point, one more point I want to make in this thing is that if this is a bit of a funny one, if I was the director and when I take the award, I would be thanking, not the people, but I would be thanking Harvey Weinstein for kicking up a shitstorm in 2017, which definitely helped this film. All the fucking capitalists, even Cambridge Analytica, Facebook, Jeff Bezos fucking everybody, destroying everybody in this, showing that how capitalism is. And it's just been very useful for them, and eventually it will make this person more rich. I really hope this person actually goes out and does something good, because but Bikram, one thing you'll agree, regardless of anything, nobody deserves such a huge accolade, because if nobody has won till now, this person has got such a huge privilege. Okay, he did something that he loved, and he's made a very good film. But this is the film which, from a writing perspective, from a shooting perspective, from budget perspective, it took very little. Obviously, it took talent, but it took, like, from the effort point of view, not so much. And this guy has won Oscar for the first time. Any movie outside United States, I mean, apart from English films, apart from US and everything, apart from Europe, English language film, nobody's ever come this, like, no foreign languages movie has ever won an Oscar, right? Is that correct? Yeah. Because Slumdog was in English, right? Technically. And people speaking in British accent. Dev Patel speaking in British accent. There's some Indian guy who's a slum. I mean, there were so many flaws in that movie, you can't even get started. Now, I hope this person actually does. Did you watch the ceremony? I didn't watch the ceremony, but I just happened to watch Joaquin Phoenix speak for 4 minutes. And for a normal person, I mean, I'm a big guy who like calls people out, who's like, oh, it's generic bullshit. Everybody says that. So what he said may seem very generic, may seem like the right thing to say, but the way he was speaking, I mean, you know that he meant it. I mean, it was just beautiful. I thought it was just I really felt it when he spoke, and he towards the end when he says about his
Brother.
dead brother, right,
Yeah.
who died at 23, and he what does he say, like, go to rescue with love in your heart, and peace will follow. Yeah, something like that. And I think it was beautiful. I hope this guy also, and eventually it's not about capitalism, and as you said earlier that South Korean movies and movies there pick up, and people actually believe that they can also do very very good, and they can actually touch United States, because everybody, it's United States is the holy grail. Either it's music or anything. Beatles would have been so big unless they became very big in United States.
Yeah, true.
One Direction to talk about, and nobody will be. It's the validation that if US accepts you, then you're the big deal. Obviously, the population helps, but once you have you got the validation in US, then you have the validation. So I really hope, because South Korea technically, it's not just one single. Also, in fact, it's not just one single Parasite. It's the fact of last 3 decades at least, South Korean movies have been absolutely fabulous, and you actually do watch South Korean movies, unlike me, who's a turd. I will watch more movies. I need to really buckle up there. I need to cover up my bases. I think it's more of a collective award, and I think it should definitely help them and increase more creativity, and give them more exposure, which they actually deserve, which hasn't been given over the years. So I think that in that way, I am very happy for the movie to win. So I just feel like they really wanted it to win, and it won, and thank God it was a very very good film.
Yeah.
Unlike Slumdog Millionaire, because just the way this was actually, because right, Dev Patel was speaking in fucking English accent in that movie.
Yeah.
It was just terrible. He
Yeah.
didn't even like work on his accent. I mean,
Yeah,
they could have
yeah,
used
it
a
was,
dubbing guy.
And
It was terrible.
and there's a fun fact for you. I was actually watching some videos, and I just found out there's this cinematographer who have been, I forgot his name. I'll put his name in the podcast on the video.
Okay.
But he has lost the Oscars. I mean, he has been nominated for 15 times. He has been getting nominated from 1997, and he has lost all those 15 times. And one of those times, he lost to Slumdog Millionaire.
In cinematography.
Yeah. And this guy has worked on more amazing movies. I think he has worked on. I think he got nominated for 2 movies in 1 year, and even then he lost. so I was just.
Unless he passed everything, yeah.
It was just funny that one time when he had the chance, this movie Slumdog Millionaire came, and they won all the awards for some reason.
They were the movie had the name Slum in it, for heaven's sake, and it's like Indian film, and it was just oh my god. But yeah, that's another story altogether. I mean, but we have talked about that. That was a huge propaganda. I don't think they've had. I have not seen any bigger propaganda than that, apart from the whole L'Oreal thing, which is Indian beauty pageants winning all those awards. But that was definitely capitalistic. Aishwarya and everybody winning was capitalistic. I think this is, at least they're not outright trying to be capitalist. I think they're trying to be inclusive, as we agree. They're trying to be passionate. They're trying to be more accepting. They're trying to let the minority in, as I was saying, let the underdog win at times, not let the Englishman who's been knighted and already won an Academy Award previously to go through. I think we're living in this world which is, I think it'll take some time for people to eventually settle down and feel like, when the whole wave of racism, the rainbow, the LGBTQI, whatever is just going on now. So once everybody kind of settles in, doesn't feel like people are impoverished, people are normal, I think that time again, the movies which totally genuinely feel like we have to give, like, this is the movie. It doesn't matter where the movie has what kind of theme, where the movie comes from, is it Asian people or white people, just the movie wins at the end of it. Because people feel bad right now if every award is given to a white person.
Yeah, that's like one of, I mean,
white people feel guilt. It's called white guilt, right? White guilt comes into play. So like you'll feel
So this
Contribute
guy's
to Viger.
okay. So this guy's name is Roger Deakins, and
Okay.
when did Slumdog Millionaire win? 2001, right?
Nine.
2009. Okay, sorry,
2000. Yeah,
2009.
not
Yeah.
one. The ones.
The movie he was nominated was A Serious Man. Um,
Okay. I've not heard of it.
yeah, I mean, I think it's like, uh,
It's
yeah,
probably not a movie that got released in India.
yeah, obviously not. It's made by the Coen brothers.
Oh, okay. Oh, the great Coen brothers.
Yeah. So
They have won. They have won Academy Awards.
yeah, they have won Academy Award. So this is he was nominated for cinematography in this year as well, and he lost to Slumdog Millionaire.
So did you say, maybe I missed one part? Did you say eventually he has won, or he's still
No,
not
he
won?
has still not won. This year he was nominated for
Jesus.
1917.
Oh! Which movie won for cinematography? Even 1917 did not win.
No, even 1917 did not win. I think, yeah, I have to double check on it. I don't know. I mean, I don't remember cinematography.
I mean, but one thing you will agree, without even double checking, unless it's some great movie, you've not seen it, cinematography, it has to be 1917. Oh, I hope it's not Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Just
But there could be a lot of movies, to be very fair in that, because there are a lot of those period films, right? They've done very great job. Even Little Women, even Jojo Rabbit, and all these
okay.
crazy movies.
Okay, he did win. Okay.
He did win, right?
Did win eventually. Yeah, he did win this time. So that was
Oh,
what.
thank God! That's thank God. See, this podcast is so live. We're just learning things right now. And I was like, so there's a happy ending after all for David. What's his name?
Roger Deakins.
Roger Deakins. Oh, Mr. Deakins. He must be already 60 years old at least.
So yeah,
this guy, like,
he was
finally.
he's getting nominated for 1997. So you can imagine how old.
By the way, he also won because it's also a collective one, because they're like, they can't do this to him right now because they're like, this will be too much.
I know. I mean, this. I think I told you about this in the last podcast as well, that this should win all the technical awards, because this is technically it's one of the best movies ever made.
ever made,
Yeah.
right?
So cinematography, I
Well-
have no. I mean, I can't think of any other movie who can win it this year in cinematography.
So thank God. So I think next, I don't know. We kind of talked about everything. I think I'm just, I don't know. We didn't talk about it, so I don't know. We'll not remember. But there are a few movies coming out. I hope Christopher Nolan finally gets a nomination. I'm not even sure. Did Christopher Nolan Dunkirk? I think Dunkirk did get nomination. Did it not get nomination? I'm just confused.
I think it got
Yeah.
nomination. I remember it being getting nominated.
I think that was his first film ever to get a nomination to be in the first place. That is 100% true, because I know none of his movie ever got a nomination.
Yeah.
He has won Golden Globes in Britain, but here they don't really care about him, so they just like completely forget about it. So his movie's coming out this year. And by the way, what are those movies? James Cameron movies. Avatar, the second one, third one, and fourth one will be coming. One this year, one next year, and one next year. There'll be like avalanche of Avatar.
Yeah, I
And that
don't
will be
see Avatar
nominated
winning
for cinematography.
any Oscars.
Oh, and cinematography? Are you serious?
Oh, I mean, I'm talking about movie. I mean, best movie.
Oh, you never know. Maybe he has like people have sex change. Maybe he has race change. This guy becomes James Cameron becomes like a South Korean, or maybe I don't know, Japanese. Maybe I don't know, Indian maybe. So he becomes James or something. You know, James James. James Cameroon. James Cameroon. So he becomes like half African and half like, you know, Mexican or Argentine. James. So if he becomes James, then he can probably, you know, still be contender for that. But I'm saying there's a lot of good movies coming out. We can just look forward to that. And by the way, next podcast is we can tell them the next part is for Love Aajkal, which I'll be watching first day. Second show, because I was just scared if I'll not wake up, because I'm going with somebody. I'm not sure, like my friend will be able to wake up. So I just booked it for 1 o'clock. I will be putting it out same day. I'm really relying on you, of course. But I think I'll shoot in a way that you don't have to like do a lot of editing.
Yeah.
But we put it out. Let's see. That people will care a lot about.
Yeah.
That movie will whether be crap or good, but I think we all watched. Both of us have watched the first one, right? Love Aajkal with Saif Ali Khan. It was pretty decent. I think that's time they were talking about which was the breakup party was the new thing, right? I think that movie they do breakup, they party, they celebrate the breakup. I wonder this. I think this movie is spanning from 1990 to 2020.
Okay.
Off my head.
Okay,
Yeah, so
yeah,
it's over a
I'm
30-year
excited about
period,
You. reviewing it, not
I'll be
mostly
making
about
notes.
the
I'll
movie.
yeah. I'll be like I'll probably end up spoiling your film, but I think you
Yeah,
don't really care so much
I
about
don't
that
care.
one. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I was ranted fair bit, so I'm like, I had to switch off the fan and I had to run my thing. But I'm happy that we did this. I was really excited about it. Yesterday night, I sent you this thing at 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
I was really thinking about it. But I think this was a very good one because we're both on a different side. This is how the debate should be. People should not be like, oh, I'm right,
Yeah,
you're
it should
right.
not be
I'm
a
like,
yes man
how,
situation.
how do I know? Who am I to say Parasite doesn't deserve to win? I'm just saying this is my opinion.
Yeah,
That it
this
was
is your
not the
opinion. Yeah,
greatest film made,
exactly.
which is, you agree, right? It's not. It's a very good film. Eventually, if good comes out of this win, what matters is an outcome. Right, not being me right or you being right. I mean, just like you enjoyed the film,
Yeah.
I enjoyed the film, so I don't know what I'm complaining about.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I'm very happy. I like the name Parasite because I feel like a parasite most of the time. We are all human beings are parasite.
Yeah, I
not
mean
we
that's the theme of
like
the movie,
eating.
right? You never know who is
Yeah.
the parasite because rich suck
Who
on
is
the
the
poor.
parasite? Oh yeah,
And the-
exactly. People are talking like people think the poor family is parasite, but you
No.
know who really is the
Yeah.
parasite. Oh, that I like that part. That's a good twist. All
Okay,
right.
yeah.
I think we'll put my books link and put your
Yeah.
t-shirt company's link
Yeah.
and a couple more links here there.
Yeah.
Okay. All
See you
right.
on the
Have
next
a good
one.
night.
Bye bye.
Yeah. All right. Take care. Bye bye.
Bye.
Anyone listening? Take care.